Hey, and welcome everyone to Season 5 of the Rule and Hammer live show where we talk all things One New Zealand Warriors. Thank you all for joining us. It's been a couple of weeks hiatus for me, so it's good to be back chatting Warriors footy. Tonight we're going to discuss the Warriors' emphatic win over the Cowboys at Queensland Country Bank Stadium last Friday. Take a quick look at the other round. It was Saturday, wasn't it? Yeah.
So it was Saturday,
yeah. Take a quick look at the other round 14 results and review this week's round 15 home game against the Storm. Joining me tonight, as usual, is my good mate and co-host Warrior Roo. Rob, how are you, mate? Good to see you again. How have you been?
Yeah, been really good. Been pretty busy week, but it's been good. Good to have you back, mate. Welcome back from your extended NZ trip. I'm sure you're going to tell us about that in a minute. But
yep.
Everyone heard about my experience last week and how awesome it was. I just shared about the game day experience we had there at Go Media Stadium. It was your first, so it was awesome to just take in everything that's involved in a Warriors game day, breathe 100%. It all in and see the sights and tour the facilities, and to get the win was even better. But thanks again for Brad filling in last minute last week. But yeah, we went really well. So so mate, how have you been? And tell us a bit about your experience in NZ the last few weeks.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, no, I've been good. Again, the whole game day experience for me, getting to Mount Smart Stadium finally after all those years to watch a game of footy, be a home fan, I guess, was absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I must personally extend our thanks to both Cameron George and Glenn Harris from the Warriors, who made that return home to New Zealand, my first home game experience, a truly memorable one. Thank you so much to yourself, mate, for coming across and being there for that as well. It was something that
Pleasure.
I'd planned probably for about 11 months since my dad passed June last year, and it was something that we wanted to do. We wanted to go back to New Zealand, take his ashes back home, and take him. Of course, take him back to the marae, but also just go to some places that I went to in New Zealand when I was a kid, and maybe sprinkled some of Dad's ashes at some really iconic places in New Zealand. We got to do that. Danny and I got to do that. So there's about 20 spots across the North Island where my dad's ashes are now, which is fantastic for my kids. There's like a roadmap across the North Island, New Zealand, where my kids can go and visit and know that their grandfather is. But yeah, it was truly a wonderful experience. I hadn't been home for over 20-something years. Some parts had changed, some parts hadn't. But yeah, it was a really, really great experience. And just thank you to everyone that made that possible. It was awesome for Danny and I to be able to do that. And as you said, mate, Brad filled in last week. I was back ready for last week's show, but was a bit emotionally and physically drained. So thank you to Brad who stepped up and stepped in last week. It's always good to have a guy like Brad who loves to talk Warriors footy and will jump in at the drop of a hat.
Absolutely.
But yeah, mate, I could spend the next hour talking about all the wonderful experiences I had in New Zealand. I'm pretty sure no one really. I'm pretty sure people are quite happy that I got back there, and but yeah, I don't think anyone really wants to hear about that. I think that all love to hear about what we have to say about that Warriors win last week. And before we get into that, just a little bit of housekeeping. I invite you, if you haven't already done so, to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel or our Facebook page. To show you support for this streaming content we create, and I'd also like to acknowledge and thank our wonderful supporters and subscribers on all our social media platforms, but in particular our generous Patreon subscribers whose donations and support enable us to continue to bring everyone the content and the guests you enjoy so much. And just a reminder to everyone that has tuned in tonight, the reason we do the show live is to get the involvement of all you guys watching. So please, as we move through the discussion points, join the conversation, leave your comments, and but please be aware that we do have current next players and their families that watch this webcast. So please keep your comments respectful and refrain from making them personal or derogatory. Let's get on with it, mate?
Yeah, absolutely. Onto the game, and the Warriors travelled to far north Queensland to take on the Cowboys in what we dubbed, the Toddy Payton Cup or the Clint Howard Cup? Yeah. Both teams having pretty inconsistent seasons, it must be said. And our Warriors welcome back some of our favourite sons, our stars from injury. So CNK at fullback and Rocco Berry in the centres. Wade Egan, he returned from concussion stand down, and Captain Tofu Harris returned via the bench. And Coach Webster opting to start Dylan Walker at 13, and Kurt Capewell, he also returned via the bench. The Cowboys welcome back some of their origin stars in Holmes, Dearden, Cotter, and Nanai, which really highlighted the importance of this game. And we'd said in the lead up, like, this was an absolute must-win game, and that we did. An emphatic 42 points to 14 win over the Cowboys up there in Townsville. Nickel Kluckster with a double, Berry with a double, Fanua Blake, Barnett, Watanis Lesniak tries, Pompey continuing his fine form with the boot, 7 from 8. And the Cowboys 12, Drinkwater and Burns tries, Holmes 2 from 2. I don't mind telling you, I was extremely nervous leading into this game, because it's just the kind of game that I could feel it being a real close arm wrestle, despite the fact it was played straight after Origin. But yeah, luckily we put on probably our best and most complete performance of the season. We got a lot of early chances in that game, and what was most pleasing for me is we took those chances. We converted that field position that we got into points, which is something we haven't really done this year. And also, it's something that's kind of plagued us for the last couple of years. Like, we get those repeat sets or penalties or whatever, and we sort of struggle to put the points on the board. But every time that they gave us an opportunity, and they really did, because they were pretty average. They gifted us possession on our line repeatedly and went in with a 22-6 halftime lead. I was ropeable about that try that Drinkwater got right before halftime, but that was just like a momentary lapse of concentration. It shows you what can happen. And I was thinking, another theme of our season this year has been we've allowed the opposition back in the game, and I was kind of thinking we'd done the same thing, but the second half started as an arm wrestle, and we got that fortuitous Dallin Witani's Lesniak try. The pass was marginal but bounced forward. So luckily for us, the referee, the bunker can't rule on that, because the referee deemed the pass forward. We rode our luck with that and finished off the game. We defended really well. I was extremely pleased with our goal line defense. Like, they only got 2. They're in that fantastic attacking side, and they only got the 2 tries. But how about the commentators? So who did we have? We had Warren Smith and Brandy Alexander, our biggest fan, Warren number 7. They're still saying that the Cowboys were a chance when they were down by 30 with 8 minutes to go. I've never seen anything like it. I've never, ever seen that in a game. Brandy Alexander, after they kicked the goal, it was like 30, made it 36-12. He's like, oh, well, they're going up in 6s. They've still got time. I was like, really?
I know. Yeah, mate. The Aussie commentators.
I know you can never call game. It's the whole Kerry Packer thing. Remember, he reprimanded Ian Healy because one time he said, well, this game's over. And he said, don't you ever do that, son. Yeah. So I know it's a bit of that. But anyway, that's just something that wound me up. I've always got to have a bit of a gripe every week. So that's mine for this week.
I get that. I get that.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on the performance? I mean, I struggle to come into a game fully confident these days. I've got too much PTSD, Warriors PTSD, but yeah.
Mate, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because the Cowboys have a real Warriors influence around them. We've got Peyton, Justin Morgan, James Maloney, Michael Luck, all on the coaching staff up there. Brent Tate with his sideline commentary. 4 of those 5 guys have been guests on our show, as a matter of fact. So we kind of do have a bit of a soft spot for the Cowboys, and because of those guys. And it's always a worry going to North Queensland to play.
Terrible record up there.
Yeah,
terrible.
Absolutely terrible record. But it was encouraging, mate. A good possession set to start the game. Vili Vallejo with that handling error for the Cowboys. I thought maybe he was still on the Warriors payroll. Perhaps. But yeah, DW's got across the line early in that ensuing set. However, Jacko Ford with that obstruction call had the try denied. Bit of a recurring problem with Jacko Ford, really, isn't it? Does have an obstruction play in him.
You've got it in his game, yeah.
But as you said, we did open the scoring through CNK with a great piece of individual play. That guy, he just has a sheer will to compete on every play, because there was really nothing happening there. That was just all effort on chance to score. Fanil Blake got the Warriors' second try with that effort run and a little bit of footwork, turned under. He's always hard to stop that close to the line and running at speed. But as you said, the Cowboys, with some really early errors, gifted the Warriors a lot of field position and possession. And we turned that momentum and field position into early points, which is something, as you said, that we weren't able to do earlier in the season, or even in recent years gone past. So that was really encouraging for me. It's kind of like we've turned a bit of a corner. Barnett got that Warriors' third try. Again, it was from a Cowboys handling error, and the fourth try came from a good hole run from Rocco Berry. And again, it was a Cowboys handling error that had turned over possession and field position cheaply. It was kind of a reoccurring theme of that first half. And again, we were just very, very fortunate that we were able to turn these opportunities into points. There was a period in that first half where we defended our own line. We showed great goal line resistance on our goal line, and that kind of troubled the Cowboys' attack too. They looked like they really had no answers to the defence that the Warriors were putting in front of them. I must say, I thought we looked really
great
fresh.
One-on-one tackle from Rocco Berry on Holmes. Superb.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. I thought we looked fresh after the bye. We looked really re-energized. There was that late try in the first half, which was really a bit of a lapse in concentration, a little bit of Tom Dearden brilliance, which got Drinkwater into space and got him away. The opening 15 minutes of that second half was probably the closest contest of the match, where it was kind of tit for tat. But it was that crusher tackle penalty to the Warriors that kind of provided us with great field position again and turned the momentum into our favour. That looping pass from to Marty Martin to Dallin got our first points of the second half, and then the awesome sideline conversion from Pompey, who's kicked 7 from 8 on the weekend and really proving to be a really good goal kicker. We actually had a good chat to him after that.
Yeah, we did. That was interesting, wasn't it? What he had to say. Yeah.
Yeah, he was saying that he did a bit of goal kicking as a junior, but not a lot.
Yeah. Well, he won us that game against the Dolphins off his boot.
Absolutely.
As well. Kicked some important ones, and it looks like a bit of an ice man from the tee, apart from that prelim last year. But other than that, he's been fantastic.
Yeah. Our sixth try of the night, was an absolute gem. CMK scoring that grubber kick into the in goal. Dallin with that Greg Inglis-like chase to bat the ball back into the field of play, and then CMK got his second for the night. Cowboys scored late, but the game full stop was put on the game when Rocco Berry got his double. The Warriors breaking 40 points for the first time this season, which was absolutely outstanding, and much needed victory on the road to keep us in touch with the top 8. Mate, can I ask you about the 2 sin bins? Which were
let's go there.
CHC was sin bin for that little bounce of the ball on Chad Townsend's head.
That brutal blow to his head.
And then what was Townsend sin bin for? Something
I don't know. I don't know. It was. I think it might have been for that part of that melee that they had with Marcelo out on the wing there. I must admit, I was thinking, like, Marcelo's getting a bit fired up tonight, and he's going to cost us like a penalty while we're in possession, or he's going to get us a penalty reversed. He was a couple of times. He's like, you don't need to do that. And I think that the whole Chad Townsend thing was a bit of retaliation from that. But I heard someone suggest recently, maybe it's a bit of bad blood there from between Townsend and remember his really brief stint back at the Warriors in 2021.
Yeah, 10 games.
He would have played with a couple of those guys, but it was weird. There was sort of a blows at the end, and there wasn't the most friendly of handshakes at the end between him and some of the players. But look, that was absolutely bizarre. I've never seen anything like that, and I don't know whether the ref, old Ziggy Niscott, I don't know whether he thought that, oh, hang on, that was a farcical sin bin, so I better send one of their guys off as well.
It's just ridiculous.
absolutely bizarre. Like we slipped into like a twilight zone or something.
Yeah.
Can't explain
it was. Nah, me neither. It was, absolutely ridiculous. And you're right. Maybe there is a little bit of bad blood there. Because I don't even know if Townsend wanted to be at the Warriors in that 2021 season either. He was kind of ushered out the door by the Sharks pretty quickly.
Again, like we just had a lot of injuries, and I think it just kind of suited both parties. We were based in New South Wales, so it wasn't a big move, but who knows? Maybe we'll have him on one day and we'll ask him.
Maybe. He doesn't mind going on a podcast.
He's a big podcast guy. I've heard big podcast guy.
Yeah. So for me, it was a great win. What's that? 8 from 8 points in the past 3 games in the bye. The stats from that game were outstanding. 56% possession, 84% completion rate. We had something like 500 more run meters than the Cowboys, 300 more post contact meters. We won all the attack stats. There was someone who was it said in the comments there talking about Barnett on the edge was awesome. Jacko was brilliant. Mate, Jacko Ford moving into the middle and playing in the front row. Absolutely outstanding, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a masterstroke. He might have found his calling, Jacko. Yeah, he's just needs to get out of the way in those set plays, and he'll be all sweet, mate. He's a new middle forward, born again, new lease of life.
Absolutely
outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. Yeah.
Adam Fanua-Blake in his return after he was stood down for that Dolphins game.
We got nothing to worry about, guys. He's back.
Out to prove a point. 214 run meters, 107 post contact, 6 tackle breaks, a line break, 22 tackles. He was back to his best. Absolutely outstanding. The back 3, CNK, DWZ, and Montoya, again, were allowed to start our sets off really well, ran very, very hard as we expect. Chan's, again, at the back, 265 run meters. He's another one that's missed a couple of games. Coming back from missing a few games, he was outstanding. Yeah, again, I think our edges are I think Barnett's better suited to an edge. I like him in the middle, don't get me wrong, but he's a bigger body on an edge, and he was always an edge forward when he was at Newcastle.
Yeah, he was, predominantly.
I love having him on an edge and Niokore on the other edge. Berry and Pompey outstanding in the centres. But, let's talk about our halves, a makeshift half bearing a CNK and TMM. Tamati Martin, he's been absolutely out. I thought earlier on the season when he came in after Metcalf got injured and he kind of got promoted back into first grade, I didn't think he was doing enough, and I actually said a few weeks back that he really had to step up, especially in Sean's absence. And he's done that and more.
Hasn't he? Yeah.
And a lot of people have been saying in the forums that he is more of a natural half, and it's probably he's showing that with the ball in hand and on the ball, he's having a very good last couple of weeks in that number 7 with the Warriors. Going to be interesting to see now with Sean coming back how that dynamic plays out again. Whether Tamati continues to want the ball and be involved, or whether he goes back to playing that second fiddle to Sean and allowing Sean to do whatever he wants. Because I would much rather Tamati be the 7 and Sean be the 6, and Sean just chime in where he can in the Warriors attack. What's your thoughts on Tamati Martin, mate?
As you said, he's been outstanding. We were kind of a little bit critical of his kicking game as well, but in the last 3 weeks, since Magic Round, his kicking game has been excellent. He doesn't have the biggest boot going around, definitely not compared to Sean and some of the other kickers, but his tactical kicking has been brilliant. Short kicking game, particularly in that Dolphins game where we kept getting those repeat sets, was outstanding.
Yes,
and he's leading the team around brilliantly. He stepped up to the plate. He has been excellent, and I think you might be right. Like if we can put Sean at 6, he's played plenty of 6. I a lot of his time at the Sharks was at number 6 as well when he played there. So it's not unfamiliar position to Sean's. But yeah, we'll see how they go this week. I did think that Chanel was a little bit quiet. Probably if any player was a little bit quiet in that win up there in Townsville, it was probably Chanel. Like, he did his job, didn't do anything wrong, but didn't really do anything outstanding apart from attacking Townsend's noggin.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Who did you give your 3-2-1 points for this game, mate?
Yeah, so 3 points went to Tomato Martin for all the reasons that I just mentioned. 2 points to Mitch Barnett. I think just being picked in the Origin team has just lifted him up to a new level, and I feel like it will continue to do that, propel him through the rest of the season. I'm picking a huge back end of the year for Mitch. If he doesn't force his way into the New South Wales team for game 2, he got my 2 points. And Chance, like 265 run meters, 2 tries, just busy, safe. Again, like absolutely brilliant in his return to the side. So he got my 1 point. And yourself, mate?
Mate, Savati Martin, he got my 3. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. 4 try assists in that game, 3 line break assists, 436 kick meters, and he still managed to pull off 14 tackles too. I thought he was outstanding for us. I gave my 2 points to Adam Fanua-Blake. I thought it was a real statement game for him. There was a lot of people, but not just in the media, but Warriors fans in general questioning, what was going on there, and he wanted out of the club and all that kind of stuff. He answered those questions. Adam said at the beginning of the season, that he was there for the Warriors for the 2024 season. You could see that he is. What happened a couple of weeks ago happened a couple of weeks ago, and unfortunately, some people don't allow things to kind of settle and they just move on. They kind of keep bringing up the same shit. But yeah, he made a statement to all the fans and all those people doubting him. And I gave my 1 point to Rocco Berry. I thought, missed a few weeks out with injury. He's come back. People were saying that he's under pressure because Pompey has been playing so well, and with Roger due to come back soon, that that Berry was the one that was playing for his spot. I think he answered his critics in this game.
He did.
So I gave Rocco my 1 point. Which means we gave a full 6 to Marty Martin. We gave 2 to Adam Fanua-Blake, Mitch Barnett each, and 1 point to Chance and Rocco, which sees Adam Fanua-Blake still way out in front, 36 points in the Ruin Hammer / Dean Bell medal points for the season. Adam Fanua-Blake out in front at 36. Mitch Barnett, second place on 19, and then a host of others behind us. Tamati Martin now on 10 with his 6 points. Chance creeping up with 12. And then, a whole heap of others in their wake. But, Adam way out in front in that one, mate. And deservedly so, I'd say. Would you say?
Yeah, he's been head and shoulders above the rest of the team this year. So, he'll be hard to run down in the Dean Bell medal.
Before we move on to round 4, the rest of the round 14 results, mate, I just want to go back and just answer a question that was posted in the comments from Nick McKercher. He said, Hammer, which jersey of Charlie's were you the most impressed with? For those that don't know, Rob and I were able to go and visit Charlie Russ, or as he's known on socials, Mount Wellington. He was so kind to open up his house, and in particular his man cave, where he has the best Warriors jersey collection in.
You will ever see. You will ever see. Yeah. Bucket list for me. It was a real bucket list thing for me as a massive jersey nerd. Yeah. Absolutely.
Charlie, thank you very much. He welcomed us into his house. We went there and had a look at his collection. Absolutely. I've seen pictures in the past. But seeing it up close and personal, and just the amount of stuff that he had, and even other things, like he had that that garbage bin full of Warriors jackets,
like anoraks, jackets,
anorak
all
jackets,
that stuff, shorts,
he had other memorabilia, everything. Shorts, everything, some frame jerseys on the wall. There was some really interesting ones. Probably 2 of the highlights to come across for me was Sean Johnson's 100th NRL game jersey that he's got. I don't know how he got that, but he's got that. But it was the Jerome Rowe Party Owen Guttenbeil testimonial jersey.
That was
because
my one as well. Yeah.
That jersey is one of my all-time favourites in my top 5 Warriors jerseys, and it's a jersey that I had never seen or touched in the flesh. So to actually see that jersey and hold that jersey and look at that jersey, that was probably a real highlight for me seeing that one. Again, we could do a whole show just talking about Charlie and his jerseys, and we will. We will. We're going to work that one out. But so yours was the same, was it, mate? The same jersey?
Yeah. Look, I had a couple. I'll just quickly go through them. Yeah. So it was obviously the Guttenbeil testimonial jersey. Charlie said there was only about 30 of them ever made. Yeah. Then there was the Auckland. It was also Jerome Ropati's Auckland's 30th anniversary jersey. You know, the blue with the white V. He had that. And then he had Richard Villasanti's match-worn game from the 10th anniversary against the Broncos.
That's right.
Yeah. The dead set went like this. It was like a vase because it was all tapered like that. I've had the jersey, but it's like the big man fit, you know. It's like all boxy. But the players one, I couldn't believe it. Like the old Puma jerseys went like the shape of a vase. Yeah.
Mark Tukey's match-worn 2002 grand final jersey.
Grand final jersey. Yep. Oh, and also the women, who was it? Crystal Rotas.
It was Crystal Rotas, match-worn jersey. So when the women, we had 3 seasons with the Warriors women, 2018, 2019, 2020. It was a 2019 match-worn Crystal Rotas jersey. And they're iconic because those jerseys are hard to come by because they didn't make they never sold any of those. So to see some of those jerseys, I think he also had a 20
the full set. I think he had all
2018 jersey in there. So that was amazing to see. Just some of the stuff that he's got is just ridiculously incredible.
Amazing collection.
Yeah, amazing. And again, as we said, that's going to be something that we're going to get Charlie on and we're going to talk about his jerseys. It's absolutely amazing going. And so it's like museum quality stuff.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. Let's look at the results from round 14, mate.
Yeah, so round 14, a delayed start due to State of Origin, but the Dragons versus the Tigers at Wynn Stadium. Dragons 56 over the Tigers 14. Zach Lomax had an absolute field day against the hapless Tigers. So I still can't believe the Tigers led 14-12 at halftime. What was that second half from the Tigers? I mean, I know they're the Tigers, but what was that second half?
It's weird, isn't it? Because you can talk about so many teams that have capitulated this season, but everything just comes back to how bad the Tigers are.
Sad
absolutely.
to say, but
Dragons, as you said, State of Origin stars all returned for them to guide them to a great win. Tigers, as you said, 14-12 at halftime. Dragons, seven second half tries. Zach Lomax with a hat trick, continue his great 2020 form. Tigers, mate, they're just a club with massive issues. And now, you got a guy like Galvin looking to try and get out of the club.
I mean, we could do a whole podcast just on like that whole saga, like the Isaac Moses thing that's going on. But that's a whole different kettle of fish, I think.
Yeah,
that
true.
We can unpack there, but it's not a good look at all when you got a young bloke saying he played 10 games.
Yeah.
First up on your Super Saturday was, of course, at Shipper Stadium. Something had to give in this game. It was the Rabbitohs versus the Titans. The Rabbitohs been out of form, but slowly creeping their way back. The Titans have been, for the last month or so, been there or thereabouts, and thinking they're just about to break out and start getting some wins. But, it was the Rabbitohs that came out and absolutely hammered them. Latrell Mitchell coming into form at the right time of the year for him if he wants to get in that State of Origin team. Titans were very poor, and the Rabbitohs piled on plenty of points. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Rabbitohs' first back-to-back wins since round 11 in 2023. It's absolutely amazing stat. As you said, a surprising result considering how competitive the Titans had been in the past, 6 weeks of footy. Latrell Mitchell with his 1 try and 3 try assists, a much improved performance. Mate, he could be looking at an Origin recall. Now with Joseph Swatali, he's going to be out for a little while. Latrell could be that slot straight back into that centre role. Be interesting to see what Madge does there.
Absolutely. Do your best with that, Woogie. Okay, the Warriors versus the Cowboys was the next game on Super Saturday. We've already discussed that. And then we're going to move on to the Broncos versus the Sharks at Suncorp Stadium. It must have been a blue moon because this was played on a Saturday night. But, interestingly enough, it was the Sharks who broke their form slump, coming away with a 22-12 victory over the Broncos, a massive second half from the Sharks. Broncos were all over them in the first half. The Sharks just came out and I think possibly got their season back on track. And we must say it was our favourite player pre-Jack's 100th game. So as much as everyone thinks I hate him and I bag him out all the time, congratulations, mate. That's a pretty good achievement.
Yeah, it is. Broncos led 12-4 at half-time in this one.
Yeah.
Sharks scored 3 tries in 7 minutes in that second half to really put scoreboard pressure on the Broncos. And, Broncos missing 2 of their most influential playmakers in Reynolds and the superstar Reece Walsh. We're always going to be in a little bit of trouble, I think. But, yeah, their second half efforts have been an issue in the past few weeks, which they'll obviously need to address during this Origin period because they're a team that is going to be affected with Origin with so many players in and out of that squad over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, they certainly will be. And moving on to Sunday footy, it was the Storm versus the Knights at Amy Park. Storm 36 to the Knights 28. The Knights competed really hard in this game. They were in it right up until the end, but I think they just lacked a little bit of polish. The Storm were too good and, got the points when they needed to and put the game to bed. But, it was interesting when I kept a keen eye on this because knowing that we're coming up against the Storm this week.
Yeah.
They weren't at their best, but they did enough to win this one.
Yeah, really entertaining game of footy, I thought, this one. That Melbourne got out to that convincing lead, and then the Knights kind of fought back to make a real contest of it. I thought Dane Gagai was absolutely outstanding for the Knights. And Fletcher Sharp on debut. He's done enough to keep David Armstrong out of the team this week. As you said, because we got the Storm coming up, I kept a real eye on this game, and we'll talk a little bit about the Storm soon. In the matchup for this weekend, but they very rarely lose 2 games in a row, so it's good that they got this win because that means we can be the team that beats them this weekend.
Yeah. The second game of the match of the day was the Panthers versus Sea Eagles at Bluebet Stadium. It was the Panthers 32 over the Sea Eagles 22. Another very entertaining game. Plenty of points scored, but Reuben Garrick, I don't know, he got possessed by the ghost of Michael Withers or something because they scored 5 tries, only kicked 1 goal. Which ultimately proved costly. It was a game for the wingers, wasn't it? We had Tommy Talau with 4 tries and Brian Toto with a first half hat trick. So between them 7 tries, and then Taruva got the other points as well. So a real game match for the wingers. What do you think about the Sea Eagles? Has their bubble burst a bit? Ever since Steve's asked for an extension?
It's an interesting one. Reuben Garrick's kicking reminded me of Darryl Halligan kicking for the Bears back in 1991.
Painful memories for you.
Major semi-final to qualify for the grand final. Anyway, I won't go into it. But yeah, mate, I thought it was another great game of footy. Manly looked to have Penrith's measure early. They jumped out to that early lead courtesy of the Tommy Talau first half hat trick. Penrith fought back. Despite Talau grabbing 4 tries, the Panthers really controlled that second half to record an important win. Brian Toto with a hat-trick as well. I couldn't get over the fact that Vossi in commentary kept talking about, the last time a Manly player scored a hat-trick against the Panthers was Tom Mooney back in 1978. Like, who cares?
Yes.
Has Manly's bubble burst? I'm not willing to write them off yet because they're on the exact same points as the Warriors on the ladder. And I wrote the Warriors off
their trajectory is
it all depends. It's going to be interesting to see. Like I'm not an NRL coach, surprisingly enough. I know that surprises everyone. Yeah, but I don't know. Some of Seabold's selections, I think Manly's biggest issues is they really don't have any, and we were speaking about this the other day, they don't have any big name like forwards. Like every team's got a Fanua Blake or a Payne Haas or a Regan Campbell Gillard or a James Fisher Harris that is that forward that dominates.
Bit of an enforcer.
But Manly don't have one. Like they've got Paseka, Josh Aloiai and Toff Sipley as their main middle forwards. Nathan Brown starting this week. Their real forward player is like Olakawatu on an edge. And then what are they going to do with Tommy Turbo when he comes back? There's talk that they're going to move him into the centres to try and protect him a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I didn't have Manly making the top 8 this year when we had our predictions at the beginning of the year, and they came out and surprised me. Luke Brooks has been quiet of late. He came out at the beginning of the year. He was really
started strong.
Yeah, he did, but he's been a bit quiet. But look, any team that's got Daly Cherry Evans in it, directing them around the park, you can't really write off. So, do I think their bubbles burst? I'm not ready to say that yet. Going to be interesting over the next couple of weeks. What kind of results they get. So we'll see.
Just very quickly, you did mention Cherry Evans. I know Brad and I spoke about Origin last week, but how good was he in Origin 1? And he just keeps going, just keeps getting better and better at age 35. I said, I know he constantly torments us as Warriors fans, but I said 3 times a year I actually really get behind him as a Queenslander. So,
mate, he's one of those guys, people don't realise, Cherry Evans and Sean Johnson debuted in the same year. Their debut years, they both played halfback in the grand final in 2011 for their respective teams, which Manly went on to win, of course. And you look at their careers, how they've kind of paralleled each other through their careers. Like Cherry is up over 300 games. He's captain of his state. He's very rarely injured. He very rarely has a bad game. He's the ultimate professional. Yeah, he's an amazing player. I mean, he plays for Manly and he plays for Queensland, so I've got no real reason to get behind him and like him. But yeah, he's been an outstanding player for Queensland. Absolutely.
Yeah. We had a game of footy on Monday night as well. It was a public holiday for you guys down there south of the border. So it was the Bulldogs versus Eels at a core stadium. A very entertaining game. The Bulldogs getting the job done late, 22 points to 18 against all odds. I think you could say against all adversity. You watched this one. How'd you see this one playing out?
Mate, interesting game of footy. Bulldogs with 3 players ruled out during that game. They had 2 HIAs and then Preston with what they thought was a broken ankle, but turned out to be one of those high sprain things or a syndesmosis or something. But left the field regardless, and they did have their 18th man activated. They also had to endure a 10-minute sin bin during that game. Parramatta just unable to put the Dogs away, and they had plenty of opportunity.
Had heaps. Yeah.
I know we laughed about the Dogs' recruitment at the beginning of the year, how they went out and they bought every available utility player, but gee, it's worked out for them. They've got Cameron Ciraldo's got them playing a great brand of footy with a lot of confidence at the moment. Defensively, they are probably the best defensive team in the comp at the moment, and that shouldn't surprise a lot of people because Ciraldo was Penrith's defensive coach when they were going through that period. So, yeah, absolutely outstanding. The Dogs are in the 8. I mean, that says enough. The Dogs are in the 8. Very interesting. Shout out to probably our favourite dog, Josh Curran, who had his birthday on Monday. He won't remember much of it because he did get knocked out in the game. But anyway, we will send a happy birthday shout out to Joshy. But yeah, mate, good game of footy. Good win by the Dogs. Parramatta. And that's what I mean. Like, he's Parramatta, a team that's under enormous pressure, getting their stars back. Can't put away the Dogs, but no one's talking about them because the Tigers are a basket case.
Just while we're talking about Parramatta, just the reports that are coming out suggesting that Trent Barrett is the leading candidate to take over as head coach. I mean, why? In what universe would you sack Brad Arthur to bring Trent Barrett in? I don't know if that eventuates. Who knows? But,
mate, the powers at the Eels have never been very smart or astute in their business practices. I mean, this is a team that's still chasing a premiership 30-something years after they had their last one, and they still compare every halfback to Peter Sterling, who retired back in '92. So yeah, Sterling was a great player, but. The game's changed. I don't know. I don't know what's going on at the Eels, mate. Fuck, yeah. Trent Barrett. Well, we've always, what is it? Most coaches, they'll get 2 chances and then that's it. This would be his third.
Yeah.
This would be his third club, wouldn't it?
you normally don't survive your second sacking. So he got
No.
sacked by Manly, and then he got sacked by the Dogs only 18 months into a contract. So I would be shocked and flabbergasted if he ends up as their coach. But stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
Moving on though, the Roosters, Raiders, and Dolphins, they all had the bye. So when we look at the NRL ladder, the Storm are at the top of the table. Sharks in second, both on 22. Panthers are third on 20. The Dolphins are fourth. Raiders in fifth, both on 18 points. The Roosters and Bulldogs and Broncos, they round out the top 8. And the Dragons in ninth. All of those teams are on 16 points. So the Warriors move right up the table in the 10th spot, in 10th place with Manly in 11th. Both those teams are 1 point outside the top 8 on 15 points because of that draw that we had with them. And the Cowboys and the Knights are on 14. The Eels, Titans, and Rabbitohs on 10. The Rabbitohs finally climbing out of that cellar because I think the team below them is going to stay there based on the weekend. Unfortunately, sorry, Brad, but my mate Brad, who's a massive Tigers fan, all too familiar position of the wooden spoon on 8 points. Ooh.
Absolutely.
Not looking good.
Nah, not looking good at all, mate. Not looking good. Mate, moving on to round 15, let's take a look at the Warriors team that Webby's named for his this weekend's home game against the Storm. Another sellout at Go Media Mount Smart Stadium. Before we move on to the team, mate, what history have you got for us about this game
mate,
that you want to talk about?
Look, recent history, diabolical, as we know. So 51 matches between the two teams. The Storm have a 33-16 advantage. The Storm have won 15 straight games against us. I think it's the longest streak in the modern sort of game, modern era. You look at the points. So the Storm have scored 1,266 points to our 749, which I can believe after all those hammerings that we copped on Anzac Day. I think that would add up to most of that deficit alone. But what I was saying to you before we went on there, if you take that 15-game win streak out of the equation, the Storm had an 18-16 advantage over us. And back before 2015, we used to go tit for tat. Most years it used to be 1-1. So, if you want to go back that far, it was a pretty even record. You can't talk about Warriors and Storm games without mentioning 2008 first versus 8th game at the old Olympic Park. Someone mentioned it before. I do have the 2008 jersey behind me, so maybe that's a bit of an omen. One of the greatest wins in Warriors history. First time the 8th place beaten first 18-15, and of course the 2011 prelim final with that Sean Johnson piece of absolute magic left. Cooper Cronk is still looking for him, I think.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because if people diehard Warriors fans that remember a lot of the games from yesteryear, not people that just have short memories and can only think back, and that's most supporters. Most supporters can't think back to the history of all the games that a club has played, but we're very fortunate that we have you that can remember every game that the Warriors have played in detail. And if you think I'm joking, just test him. We'll do one night. We'll get a quick Q&A night happening where people can just ask Rob questions about different games, and he'll just off the top of his head, he'll get them for you. But if you go back and you ask diehard, day one Warriors fans, list your 5 best Warriors victories, 2 of them would be games against the Storm in the 2 that you mentioned, that 2008 game, first versus 8th, and then the 2011 grand final qualifier.
One more thing about Warriors versus Storm history. We were actually the first team to defeat the Melbourne Storm. They were undefeated. We beat them on Good Friday back in 1998, 16-12 win. And we also beat them in miraculous circumstances at Olympic Park later that year. So we were actually undefeated against the Storm up until 1999. So we had 2 from 2 back in their first ever season. So there you go.
Another key Warriors Storm history moment would be we were the team that played them after they had all their points deducted for the salary cap breaches. And I think they put 50 on us.
They did.
And who can forget the memorable Nathan friend somersault try setup from 2015, which is the last time we beat them. Yeah, exactly. So maybe it'll take something miraculous this time around as well. Who knows?
I don't care how it happens. There can be as many miracles as there need to be, just as long as we win. But
let's be honest. We should have won in round 2 this year.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they got their own miracle, didn't they, to beat us?
Yep.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Mate, why don't you run us through the team that Webby's named for this round 15 clash?
All right, Webby's Warriors. Chance Nickel Kluckster at fullback, Dallin Wateni Zalesniak and Marcelo Montoya on the wings, Rocco Berry and Adam Pompey in the centres. Timade Martin moves back to 5'8" to accommodate Sean Johnson, who's back at number 7, halfback.
Yep.
Front row of Adam Fanua, Blake, Wade Egan, and Jacko Ford. Let's hope he continues that fantastic form as a middle forward. And Murata Niokore, Mitch Barnett, and Torquil Harris in the back row. Chanel Harris Tavita drops back to the bench in that 14 jersey, along with Dylan Walker, Jas Tavanga, and Kurt Capewell. And on the extended bench, we have Tom Ale, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, who I'm led to believe was named but is not going to play. He'll be back next week. Tane Tuapiki, Freddie Lussick, and Jacob Laban. Let's just hope that this is the team that finally ends that 15-match losing streak. A pretty good side. The only thing I'd say is the bench is a little bit on the small side. You got Walker and Jazz who both play in the middle, but they're not huge men. But you got Capewell there and Chanel as a sort of Mr. Fix-It. He'd come in, play a bit of dummy half, and if there's any injury cover required in the halves or in the back line, he'd be there for that. Your thoughts on the side?
Yeah, you've got Niokore and Mitch Barnett that can move into a middle.
Shuffle around.
Shuffle around when Capewell comes on. Capewell played long minutes last week, which I don't think a lot of people realise, which meant Niokore did play a little bit of that game in the middle. Chanel, look, I don't know how much game time he'll get. He'll probably get Lussick minutes in this one.
Not Gutho minutes.
No, not Gutho minutes. He'll get Lussick minutes, but it's a master stroke having a guy like Chanel on the bench because he can fill a couple of various positions. Yeah, very versatile. Could probably play in the centres at a pinch. Play 13. He could play 1. He started at 1 for the Warriors in the past. I think Chanel's a better option on the bench than a guy like Freddie Lussick, who is limited to what 100%. Positions he can play.
Yeah,
personally, though, with the efforts that he's put in the limited games that he's had this year, Tane Tuapiki would be a guy for me.
So unlucky.
Yeah,
so unlucky. Yeah.
Yep. He'd probably be my first choice. 14, and then Tommy Arley's got to feel like he's a bit unlucky as well. A lot of reports in the media at the moment about Jazz. We had a conversation with Jazz after the Dolphins game in the sheds after the game. We asked him about where he's going to be next year, and he all the reports that the media are reporting this week about how he was given a low ball offer. He was offered the minimum that the Warriors can offer a player because of his injuries and the way our squad's panning out. But he has been told if he keeps putting in some good performances that offer could be upgraded. I don't know if it will, because I think they'll be looking towards the future, and I don't know. You know, as much as we love Jazz and love having him there, he did say to us that he would never play for another NRL club. So if he doesn't get picked up by the Warriors, it would be Super League for Jazz. But
I think the same might be for Bunty as well. Jose has just mentioned Bunty. I think that might be a similar kind of scenario for him as well.
Bunty's been named to play reserve grade this week. He was out injured. That's why he hasn't been there. And what game was it? The Panthers game that he was? No, the Dolphins game. He played the Dolphins game, didn't he? Yeah, he was outstanding.
One of his best games of the year. Or best game in a while, I would say, many years. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. His second stint was outstanding in that game, and then he was out injured. But he's back this week. He's been named in reserve grade, so keep an eye on him. But even our extended bench is quite light on. When you look at it with Tuivasa-Sheck, Tuapiki and Lussick. A lot of backs. Tommy Arley on there. Jacob Laban, who's an edge forward, and no Zion Mayu, who's dropped off, so he's back into that reserve grade bench.
Apparently.
Yeah. Oh, is he? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, there you go.
Out to around 20, I think they said.
But yeah, mate, for me, I think the Warriors will be looking to build on the previous weeks, obviously. We've had some good results. We need to match the Storm's energy. We know what the Storm can bring. We'll need to minimise that high error count that we've had in the past, the penalty count, and reduce our missed tackles. I think our strengths lie in our back three. CNK, DWZ, and Montoya, who return the ball with energy and get our sets start off quite well. Tamari Martin stepping up now in Sean Johnson's absence. He'll need to do that again now that Sean's back. Continue to take some pressure off Sean. Mate, our centres, Adam Pompey and Rocco Berry. Mate, at the beginning of the year, you probably would have thought that centre was probably our most light-on position in terms of ability. And now we're talking about these two guys possibly keeping Roger out of first grade, or promoting a shift of Roger in the squad, whether Roger comes off the bench next week or whether he moves to the wing, because Pompey's been outstanding. You can't really fault him.
He's been excellent. He's been so solid. He's playing even better than he did last year.
Yeah. AFB and Barnett will just continue their form. And again, we spoke about him. I think Jackson Ford in the middle has been a great revelation by Webby. Like I said, the Storm very rarely lose 2 games in a row. So they didn't lose last week, which is great. So I can pick the Warriors with confidence. Yeah. I'm going to pick the Warriors with confidence. I'm confident about this one, mate.
Okay.
I'm going to say the Warriors, and I reckon we'll get them by 10.
Warriors by 10. I am not as confident because I never am. That's just me. But I also feel that we may get this win. I'm going to go Warriors by 2.
Yeah,
Close one. I'll be pacing around. I'll get the steps up. But, yeah, I don't care as long as we win and finally beat these guys.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's take a quick look at the remaining games of round 15. Plenty of changes for some of these sides. Tonight, the game kicks off in about 30 minutes. The Sharks versus the Dolphins at PointsBet Stadium. For the Sharks, Nico Hines plays his first game since Origin 1. Talakai starts in the back row, was named in the back row. I'm hearing whispers that he won't be playing tonight. Hamden Ueli named on the bench. Daniel Atkinson drops back to 18th man. For the Dolphins, they've got all their big names back in the Hammer, Farnworth, and Avarillo in their back line. Cammy Bromwich and Felice Kafusi have been named in the front row, and Lemuelo and Aitken named in the back row. This is a tough one, mate. I'm going to pick the Sharks purely because they're at home, but it'll be close, and maybe the Sharks by a field goal.
I think the Sharks will win comfortably, actually. I'll go Sharks by 12.
Okay.
Yeah. Friday night, the first game is the Raiders versus the Cowboys at GIO Stadium. This will be an interesting clash. The Raiders, Hudson Young returns from Origin 1. Rookie halves pairing of Weeks and Strange. And Adam Mariota named on the bench. The Cowboys, Murray Talangi returns on the wing. Reece Robson returns as hooker. Jordan McLean returns from injury, with Neem pushing back to the bench. And Nanai returns to starting 13, with Fini Fuiaki moving to the bench. Like, on paper, the Cowboys should absolutely dust these guys, but they won't. The Raiders will win by 8.
Raiders by 6.
Yeah. And the second game on your Friday night, normal transmission is resumed because the Broncos have no, they don't. They're away, sorry. But they are still playing on Friday night. I was about to go Broncos back at Tankle. But they are still playing against the Rabbitohs at a core stadium. The Rabbitohs retain their same halves combo of Whiten and Walker. Cam Murray named on the bench to return from injury. Broncos, Tristan Saylor named at fullback. Reece Walsh unavailable, the superstar. He's out again. And Adam Reynolds are still not available. I actually think the Rabbitohs will win this one comfortably. I'm going to go Rabbitohs by 14.
Yeah, I think Reece Walsh is still unavailable because it's still within the 11 days from his Origin knockout. I'm pretty sure. I think if they played Saturday, he'd be eligible to play. So, interesting one. Who are you going?
I reckon Rabbitohs are going to win comfortably.
Love that. I reckon the Rabbitohs will win as well.
I Rabbitohs by 14. Yeah.
I'm going to go Rabbitohs by 8. I think that win last week just kick them in. Yeah, Rabbitohs by 8.
Yeah.
Super Saturday kicks off with a blockbuster game of the round. Tigers versus Titans at
Keen.
Leichhardt Oval. Everyone get keen, strap in for this one. For the Tigers, Alex Lobb's been named on the wing. Addington Caesar and Api Coruscant named in the halves. Talon De Silva named at hooker. Fanua Pole, Samuel Afenu and Justin Matamua are the new look back row. For the Titans, no changes to their 17. I'm going to pick the Titans because I can't pick the Tigers.
I'm the same. Someone's got to win this, so I think it's going to be the Titans. It could be a high-scoring clash or like a really low-scoring game where neither team can just get points on the board.
I'm going to say the Titans, and I'm going to say David Fafita to go into beast mode in an effort to try and win back an Origin jersey. Titans by 18. I'm going to say.
Yeah, I was about to say Titans by 16. I think they'll get a few tries in this one.
We've spoken about the Warriors and Storm, but we'll just go through the changes. SJ returns from injury. Tohu named in the 13. Walker back to the bench. RTS named on an extended bench, but not expected to play. For the Storm, Dean Aramaya is named in the centres for Remus Smith. No other changes. I think we've both. I said Warriors by 10. You said Warriors 2. By 2. As you all, you say that every week. And Eels versus Roosters is the last game of Super Saturday. For the Eels, Mike Acevo returns on the wing. This game's at Combank Stadium. Mike Acevo returns on the ring. Sean Russell moves into the centres. Dejan Arzi moves back to the bench. I thought Dejan was quite good in the centres for the Eels. And Ryan Madison named on the extended bench. For the Roosters, Junior Polga's named in the centres for the suspended Joseph Swatali'i. Connor Watson named at hooker for the stood down Brandon Smith, who's been stood down for disciplinary reasons.
Why don't we sign him?
A lot of whispers going on about Brandon Smith and his attitude and some off-field stuff. So I still think the Roosters will have the Eels in this one. I mean, I think all Mitch Moses has to do is step foot onto the field and he gets his Origin jersey back.
Right. Just finish the game. Yeah.
Yep. But I'm still going to tip the Roosters. I think the Roosters by 10.
Yeah, I think Roosters pretty comfortably. I might even go Roosters by 20 in this one. I think they'll just have way too much class.
Yeah.
For the Eels. Sunday, Sea Eagles versus Dragons at Four Pines Park. So for the Sea Eagles, Nathan Brown starts in the front row. Ethan Bullymore named on the bench. Dragons, no changes to the 17. This is actually a quite surprisingly tough one to pick because the Dragons did beat the Sea Eagles early in the year. I think it'll be close. I think Eagles by 2.
Yeah, I think if you look at this game and you look at the Sharks Dolphins game tonight, they're probably the 2 biggest games of the round. I like, as much as it may hurt shit Brad Ingerter here, I like what the Dragons are doing at the moment.
Yeah.
Sea Eagles are a bit hot and cold. The Sea Eagles at home, hard to beat at home. I'm going to pick the Dragons. So I'm going to pick the Dragons by 4.
Oh, nice. Okay, I like that. Yeah.
Thanks.
Hammer's good oil. Good thoughts. Yeah.
I have them.
Yeah. You have them occasionally. And to round out your round 15, we have the Knights versus the Panthers at McDonald Jones Stadium. So for the Knights, Bradman Best returns from injury. Fletcher Sharp retains the fullback spot ahead of David Armstrong. Someone mentioned in there, David Armstrong apparently wants out of his deal now as well. I don't know what it is with these young players, but
fuck.
For the Panthers, Dylan Walker.
Dylan Edwards, mate. Sorry.
Sorry. Dylan Edwards returns from injury. And again, you have to think he only needs to finish this game to be back in the Blues side. And deservedly so. He was the original choice. And Liam Martin named on the extended bench. I think the Panthers will win this one by, I'm going to go Panthers by 12.
Yeah, I'm going to go Panthers in a trot. Panthers by 12. Interesting what you said about that David Armstrong wanting out of his contract, mate. We could do a whole show on young players that think they're absolute superstars and deserve so much, couldn't we?
No, not being funny, right? But we could easily do that. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely, we could. Speaking of which, the Bulldogs have to buy. Yeah. That's the round previewed. We will be back next week at the new time that we're seeing us now, 6:30 p.m. on Thursday evenings. Next Thursday, we will be reviewing this important round 15 game against the Storm, previewing our round 16 game against the Titans. Speaking of the Titans, there's a next week on the Gold Coast. There is a Warrior Nation / Ruin Hammer / One New Zealand Warriors pre-game and post-game event, members only event. The post-game, the pre-game events at the Sporting Globe at Rabina, which
Rabina there.
Which will kick off. I think, did we say 11:30, 12 o'clock?
Yeah, round about there, about midday. Yeah.
Yep. Going to be some food. The Warriors are kindly putting some food on. So that's is that for anyone to attend the pre-game?
That's open for all. So the pre-game function there at the Sporting Globe at Rabina. So make sure you head there before the game.
Yep. And then the members only post-game events, which you got to register for, which will be hosted by the Warriors following the game, and that will be in that same place it was last year, won't it, in the stadium?
Yeah. I think there's limited allocations for that as well. I think that was mostly offered to the Queensland-based members. Yeah.
But just keep watching the channel, because we were hoping to get Richie Morgan from Warrior Nation on tonight to chat about that a little bit. But he's in Melbourne for work at the moment. So at this stage, we may do a special live on Monday evening just to chat about the event coming up. And there's going to be another one that we can also discuss for round 18, I think it is, we play the Bulldogs. For our Sydney-based members, or New South Wales-based members, pre-game and post-game event, similar thing happening there. But keep your eye on the channel.
Stay tuned. Social media.
Yep. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. And before we wrap it up for the night, again, I just want to acknowledge and thank our wonderful supporters, especially our Patreon supporters, for their continued support. And give a special shout out to our gold tier Patreons. That's Alf, Malcolm, Chris, Nigel, Lisa, Sean, Ken, and Stevie. So thank you so much for your support. It really does go a long way to helping us cover the costs for the show, and we really do appreciate you guys so much. If you do want to show your appreciation and support, you can head to our Patreon page to subscribe to our bronze tier, general support level, or our silver and gold tiers. They also include supported merchandise and other benefits. So you can jump onto Patreon and have a look if you feel that way inclined. And another way that you can show your support is to head to our Redbubble store. You can pick up some awesome merchandise, putting up new designs all the time. I've got a new Up the Wires shirt. Go there, check it out. 25% off your order at the moment. So make sure that you jump in. If you want to support us and what we do, and you want some merchandise, go through our store. That's redbubble/people/ruinhammer/shop. The link's there in our bio and everything. Jump in there, grab yourself an awesome design.
Absolutely. On that note, that's it for tonight's show. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Thank you everyone who continue to support Ruin Hammer. It is very much appreciated. If you haven't already done so, jump onto our YouTube channel. Have a look at our game day vlog when we played against the Dolphins. We'll take you on a little tour of the Warriors facilities beforehand. A little bit of our day at Lily World pre-game. Some post-game stuff where we'll back into the sheds. Absolutely outstanding day. And then there's a little Easter egg in there where we go and spend a bit of time at Charlie Russ's house having a look through his jersey collection. So jump on our YouTube channel, have a look at that one. Excellent work by Rob putting that together. Everyone else, stay safe. Enjoy your week. And if you're getting out to the game, up the Waz. We'll see you all next Thursday night.
Up the Waz. Take care, everyone.